We are going to be talking about a number of aspects of a weekend Republican donor event that took place at Donald Trump's Florida club Doral. Looks like Doral to me. I don't know why they say Doral, but if that's what they say, I'll say it. It took place this weekend. We're going to talk, yes, about what Donald Trump said, but really the relevance of Trump now is more, now that he's out of office, the relevance is what happens to the followers of Trump in the Republican Party, because they really are the future of the party. The followers will decide whether it's Trump or someone else at the head of the party in 2024, and they will decide whether these Trumpian Republican officials get reelected or removed in 2022. And so, okay, hearing what Trump says, fine. But hearing from his followers and from Republican donors, that's really the future of the party. And it's unfortunately as bad as anybody could have imagined. We're going to look at an interview with a woman that CNN spoke to in Florida at this Republican donor event at which Donald Trump also spoke over the weekend. I was looking at this like the Zapruder film. I mean, you almost have to go frame by frame because there is so much ignorance and delusion and toxicity packed into a really small amount of video. So let's just jump right into the first clip.
And I do believe that the election was stolen. And I do believe that it was a peaceful rally that day, and that just because people who were in the Capitol were wearing Trump shirts and Trump hats doesn't necessarily make them Trump supporters. Anybody can get one of those shirts.
So that is merely 18 seconds, and it is filled with ignorance that could take months to overcome and change people's minds about. I do believe the election was stolen, she says. She's not a lone nut. I mean, she's a nut, but she's not a lone nut because 60% of Republicans believe exactly that. 60% of Republicans believe that Donald Trump was the rightful winner of the November 2020 election. Now, December, January, February, March, April. We're now 5 months out. 60% of them still believe that. Okay, that is not a fringe view. You could have tens of millions of conversations just like this one with other Trump voters. She says the Trump riots were mostly peaceful and not really Trump supporters. Half of Republicans believe that. And the reporter tries to explain, we know that they were Trump supporters. There is no doubt when we look at the court cases, we find, years of pro-Trump social media activity. At some point, you have to apply Occam's razor. Did they 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, knowing on January 6th they were going to pretend to be Trumpists, start falsely seeding, SEED, false pro-Trump stuff on their social media? Or if it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's simply a duck. And she doesn't care when she's presented with that. Take a listen.
But a lot of them have been shown to be real Trump supporters, right? Through indictments that they've been a long time support of Trump.
I don't know that to be true.
So this is really a case of burden of proof. She believes without evidence that the Trumpists at the riots were fake Trump supporters. There's no evidence of that. There is evidence that they are real Trump supporters, but she hasn't seen it, so she dismisses it out of hand. This is a really big epistemological hurdle to clear, and we've talked about it before. Very, very difficult. And the most effective way is you build a rapport with this person, and over a period of months, you can maybe get them to change their view. That doesn't work when it's 75 million people that believe this stuff. It's just a fact of math, quite frankly. Let's continue.
I think some people will watch this who are not Trump supporters and will say, here's a Trump supporter who's in denial about January 6th. Would it not be better to sort of
You don't have to say that to me because I've had friends and family already say that to me, because they disagree. They think that I'm crazy, that I'm a conspiracy theorist because the election was stolen.
Now that is fascinating. She says, forget about your audience saying I'm in denial. My family and friends has already been telling me that for months, and yet it seems to only further her belief that she is correct. This goes back to another principle we've talked about. Oftentimes when people are, kind of bashed over the head with facts, they don't change their mind. They further attach or align themselves to their beliefs. When they are told by others, that's crazy, they don't say, whoa, maybe it is. they further plant their feet in those beliefs, and that it simply doesn't work, as we've talked about before. Let's look at more of this.
Speaking of your family calling you conspiracy theorists, Marjorie Taylor Greene's going to be speaking here this weekend. She's known as by some as the QAnon Congresswoman.
I don't know what's so terrible about QAnon. Can you tell me?
It's a baseless conspiracy theory.
Well, what is so terrible about conspiracy theories? Anyway, can you tell me? I mean, there were conspiracy theories behind JFK's assassination. I'm old enough to remember all the conspiracy theories that swirled around his assassination.
But
it's always painted in such a negative way.
These conspiracy theories are cutting into the foundation of American democracy, or helping inspire a violent insurrection.
No, I don't believe that's the case. In what way? Can you explain?
The lie the election was stolen?
Well, see, that's where we part ways. I don't believe that it's a lie.
I just love that. You actually see, if you're watching, how she seems to be back on the defensive for a moment there. But then she comes up with something that in some Republican circles is what I call faux enlightened, F-A-U-X, faux enlightened. You can always, these are crutches. I wouldn't even call them epistemological crutches, because there's no epistemology there. It's a rhetorical crutch where you can always say, what's so bad about X anyway? And that makes you, quote, open to, quote, ideas. This is a really common thing that people on the right who know enough to know, they know that they don't really have facts, but they also have these rhetorical crutches they can put their weight on, like turning something back on the other person. And then we get to what is now one of the toughest problems that we're dealing with, which is disagreements about what facts are. Now, I've made this distinction before, and it's a really important one to understand. We're not experiencing a disagreement about what the facts are. We've had that forever. We're having a problem of lots of people don't know what type of statement is a statement of fact and what type of statement is a statement of opinion. Much of right-wing media is built on the fact that their audience doesn't know the difference. A huge portion of this country, particularly on the American right, doesn't understand that not all statements can be reduced to, we have a different set of equally valid beliefs. There are knowable facts and there are opinions, but tons of Americans don't know how to categorize those types of statements, and there's really no easy recovery with that. And I know it's like a broken record at this point. This goes back to education. This goes back to media literacy, critical thinking, stuff you really have to start teaching around age 11 or 12. I'm not saying that folks like this woman are, in a literal sense, too far gone, but if you've listened to the phone calls I get on the show, if you've seen the interviews I do on the show, you know the level of work that would be required to change one mind for someone that is so indoctrinated like this woman. Imagine 75 million of these people. That's why I'm not optimistic that these folks are the ones we can necessarily bring back in bulk. It seems we need to do a better job of educating people never to fall for this stuff in the first place, but it's going to be a very uphill battle. A lot of the shirts you see me wearing on YouTube are actually made by a company called Teddy Stratford. I love these shirts, and that's why I asked them to be a sponsor of the show. It really is the most innovative shirt you can buy, because most slim fit button-up shirts give you this weird stretched out gap in the chest where the buttons are. You don't get that with the Teddy Stratford shirts, because all of their shirts come with a patented zipper hidden beneath the buttons, which prevents the chest from stretching apart like that. But most importantly, just overall, it makes the shirt fit much better and look better. The carefully designed shirt is also cut in a way that improves the look of your upper body physique. It has a really nice, elegant, close fit that other shirts don't really give you. It also has a specially designed collar that won't fall down and lay flat, which I love. The difference all around with these shirts really is noticeable. Go check them out at davidpakman.com/Teddy. The link is down below, and they'll give you 15% off your first order if you use the coupon code PAKMAN at checkout.